think Maureen is away, still trying to get back from watching Wakefield get beaten. So we've got Martin Ward. Welcome, Martin. You're taking place. And just to say, on agenda item 9, it's down as Matthew Morley, but it in fact should be Maureen, so it'll be you. All that makes sense, Martin. Okay, agenda item 2, minutes of the meeting of the 11th of June. Are they agreed as a correct record? Take silence as agreement, thank you. Shares announcements, there aren't any. Urgent items, there aren't any. Agenda item 5, to remind colleagues to declare an interest in any matter on the agenda in which you do have an interest, both verbally and in writing, please. And that takes us straight on to agenda item 6, which is Councillor Morley, the A650 Newton Bar Corridor Improvement Scheme. Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. The purpose of this report today is to inform Cabinet of the A650 Newton Bar Corridor Improvement Scheme, to gain approval to take on all matters required to deliver the scheme, and to gain approval to accept the allocation of funding from the West Yorkshire Combined Authority into the capital programme for the scheme. The entire scheme will cost just over £6.5 million. As you can see from the report, we've been working with our partners from the Combined Authority. To say we have done very well at the transport fund allocation cannot be understated, Mr. Leader. This follows on from the Pontefract Link Road, the Wakefield Eastern Relief Road and the Kergate scheme, as well as the Castleford Southern Link Road, Castleford train station, that will start to be delivered over the next coming year, and more schemes in the pipeline. With people using the Wakefield Eastern Relief Road more, we are now seeing traffic getting through faster to Newton Bar roundabout, which is causing congestion. Added to this, the amount of house building we have seen in the local area, we now have to improve this roundabout. We're going to make the roundabout bigger, we're going to signalise it, and we're going to put more capacity into the area, also improving pedestrian safety, cycling safety and supporting public transport. The plan application has already been submitted and will be determined later on this year. One final note though, Mr. Leader, we should never forget the disaster and tragedy that struck this roundabout back in 1978, when a number of police officers lost their lives returning from a conference to Blackpool, when the brakes failed to stop on the coach they was travelling on. I've held meeting with the police officers and the Police Federation, and we'll be looking to incorporate some memorial into this scheme to remember those who were involved in this tragedy and lost their lives. We'll be working with the Federation to bring this about. Can I ask that we support the scheme in the recommendation starting at 10.1, please?
Questions or comments? Yeah, we'll go straight down the line. Jackie first, and Les.
I really welcome this scheme, Matthew. As someone who uses that roundabout quite regularly, I know that there is congestion, and I think it's going to make a great difference, and I congratulate you on the work that you've done with the Combined Authority to bring this investment into Wakefield. It is needed, but it's really great that we've got it. And just to comment on the memorial, I think that's a fabulous idea.
Thank you, Jackie.
Les?
Yeah, I think similar. I'm probably coming from the same area as Jackie, and I come in regular on that road, and obviously it's not just at the top, it blocks the bottom as well, because there's no flow straight through, Matthew, so I think it's an excellent scheme. And I think actually the amount of money and the amount of things that are coming into Wakefield at the moment is excellent. It's top notch, and let's keep it going.
I think if you look at the scheme we've got on the agenda today, Les, just today alone, if we approve everything, it'll be just over £11 million of highway improvements to ease congestion around this district.
Just to say to my two colleagues, if you came with me on the 189 bus, you wouldn't have that problem. It doesn't go on that roundabout.
I'd have to come in from Airedale to Castleford though, Chair.
Well, I walk to the bus station, then catch the 189. Margaret.
Yes, thank you. Matthew, I was part of the consultation as a ward member, and there was good full consultation on the scheme, which I think will make things better in that area. Could I just ask you though, you mentioned cycling safety. There's no cycle lanes indicated on the plan?
There is. It's a joint pedestrian cycle, pedestrian, where it's going to be round there.
Right. Yeah. Right. Okay.
So yes.
So where the pavements are, will
Yes.
be fine.
Anybody else? This side? No? Can we read the recommendation put forward by Councillor Morley? Thank you very much indeed. You're on again. Matthew, integrated transport.
Yeah, thank you once again, Mr Leader. Brief report, but over £3 million of investment coming to the district. Sounds a lot, but it is broke down over 3 years and in different quarters. We'll be using this money on our highways to maintain and enhance assets, provide safe and healthy streets and improve public transports. So can I move the recommendation in 10.1, please? Get your zebra crossings in now if you want anybody.
Any questions or comments? Can I just ask a question? What's the process by which there'll be some public input or public consultation in terms of the proposals?
These schemes will be delivered where we've already got information, where we know people, members of the public are wanting schemes, where people put requests in for drop curbs, for better pedestrian access. We've also been sending out emails to members on a monthly basis where we're asking various questions on traffic regulation orders, drop curbs and crossings, zebra crossings, and that'll all feed into the mix as well.
Okay. Can I just, I'm sorry to kind of ask another question, but in terms of young people specifically, because one of the issues that I get raised with me is actually by young people who are concerned about their particular transport needs, particularly of early evening and, getting to and from different places in the district. So just in terms of that.
That's not covered in this money. It's not to subsidise public transport or to put new bus routes on. It's basically for bus lanes, crossings, that sort of public transport, that sort of stuff that's looking to do with it.
Thank you. Can we agree the recommendation?
Agreed.
Okay. Now, you're on again, Matthew.
Right. Last one.
Outwood rail station.
Yes, the Combined Authority set up around about 3 years ago with improvements to rail station car parks. Outwood is one of the busiest train stations that we have outside the city of Wakefield. It's a direct commuter route to Leeds and supports the villages of Outwood, Renthorpe, Stanley, Lofthouse and others. The present car park now is not fit for purpose as it does not have the capacity that is needed to take the amount of cars that's parking, and people are taking to parking on the streets, causing frustration to local residents. This scheme is to create a new car park at the side of Lofthouse Colliery Nature Park and provide 160 additional spaces. Once again, we've been working with the Combined Authority to deliver this scheme. There was a consultation held earlier on this year where some concern was raised by people living next to the proposed site. These concerns will be taken into consideration when we submit the plan application later on this year, and we're also in negotiations still with people to acquire the land that we need. Can we please approve the recommendations in 10.1, please?
Questions or comments? If not, can we agree?
Agree.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, agenda item 9, penalty notices for duty of care offences. Martin.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. We draw Cabinet members' attention to paragraph. The purpose of the report is to consider the introduction of penalty notices for offences committed under section 34(2)A for the Environmental Protection Act 1990, known as the Household Duty of Care. We draw Cabinet members' attention to page 2, 4.1, which outlines the changes in the law that means householders are more accountable for their household waste and where it ends up. Here in Wakefield, we've seen an increase in fly tipping. It's fair to say that most of those items are generally from ordinary households who have a duty to ensure that their waste is disposed of correctly. It's the responsibility of householders to ensure that their waste is disposed of correctly. An opportunity to do this taking it to a designated council waste disposal centre, taking it to a charity, book a bulky refuse waste collection, or use a registered waste carrier, and these can be checked out on the Environment Agency website. The measure is to strengthen the enforcement around waste disposal to prevent illegal dumping of material from households. Prosecution of illegal tippers have proved costly and a drain on time and resources. So this is another measure that assists that process to deal with fly tipping. 5.9 on page 3 shows the consultation the authority is undertaking with the local councils. So page 1, 3.1, the recommendation is that we agree to the proposal to use penalty notices for duty of care offences and set the duty of care penalty notice at £250 with a reduction to £150 for early payment.
Any questions or comments? Les and Faith.
Yeah, I certainly welcome this. I know it's difficult when we introduce penalties on anybody, Chair. But the simple truth is fly tipping, and I can say in my ward the number of times where we're phoning up the council because of fly tipping, and in some of the most unusual places. For instance, down Weldon Road, where the miners' memorial is. We've just talked about a memorial. Frequently, we go by there, and somebody's just pulled in and tipped rubbish in front of a memorial. We can't have this. A, the cost is phenomenal, and B, there has to be some responsibility for people who are giving this waste to these people. And so I really welcome this, and I hope though that when we do introduce it, that we do actually enforce it. I think that's an important role as well.
Yeah, I was going to pick up on that because at the moment, one or two of us around the table are looking at enforcement, and there'll be a new enforcement strategy launched later. So we do need to make sure those of us involved that this is fed into that process, because you're right, without proper enforcement, it's meaningless. Sorry, Faith.
Sorry. I'd like to totally echo everything that Councillor Charles said, but also if I can just ask, will there be any campaign to raise awareness for the householders, just so they know?
Yeah, I'm sure that's under consideration, but we appreciate that if we're going to impose, and hopefully today we will, impose these charges, that we're going to make sure that we educate the electorate and the public and to the consequences of their actions, then we're going to take some responsibility for what they're doing with it.
Thank you.
And then we send out every year, because I get one, a list of when the bins are going to be emptied. We might usefully look at doing something similar so that every household has got details about this, so nobody can say they weren't aware. Okay, so with that, can we agree?
Great.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item 10, financial health report is mine. Just to say, we're only in month 2, but are already anticipating an underspend of £44,000. The report makes it clear that there are demand pressures on children's services, which we know about, 1.1 million. That is offset by council-wide budgets, which are at the moment forecast to underspend by 1.2 million. So I know it's only month 2, but as you'd expect, already on course to deliver a balanced budget, and we are clearly aware of where the pressures are. I'll answer any question or comment that colleagues have got. No? If not, can you agree to note that? Thank you. Denise, Economic Strategy Annual Review.
Yeah, this is the first review of our 5-year strategy. We've made a lot of progress, but there are obviously things to do, and there's a lot of information in the report which I don't propose to go into, but we've seen the delivery of affordable homes, we've seen the support of 250 million has been invested in the district, creation of jobs, we've supported the growth, we've put a bid in for the High Street Fund, and we've got down to the last 50. We're moving forward at a real pace, but there is a lot to be done, but this is only the first year. We set about having 3 themes really: successful business, successful people and successful places. It seems to be working, but as I say, this is only the first year, and we'll be coming back each year with our 5-year plan. Incorporating in this is the housing strategy, which is delivering, which matters much to the controlling group, is affordable homes, and that's what we're doing, and working with business. So there's a lot in the body of the report, and I can answer any questions, but the recommendation is set out at 3.1.
Any questions or comments, Les?
Yeah, I think it's a really good report, Denise, and reading it, there are some good things, but there are also some warning signs in I think. For me, it was page 4 and page 5, which sums it all up. Some fantastic work done on all 3 studies, and you've just touched on affordable homes. You know, there are some councils that are struggling, and at least we're getting a number of affordable homes. But I think under the successful business and successful people on page 5, it is like a chicken and egg sort of situation. We haven't got the skills at the moment coming through, so the business to really push that forward is difficult to get. But we are working on that with successful people, and I think it's a good, integrated, thoughtful document, and I'm pleased to see we're working on it and some of the things are moving. So congratulate the team, certainly, on it. But we do have to look at the challenges and keep on top of them going forward.
Yes, I think we do, and I think as it's recognised, there is a lot to do. But we're making a start, and it's only the first year. And those are the things that we should be picking up on over the coming months.
One of the things about our district is that we've not only got a city, but we've got perhaps more towns than most areas, a large number of towns that give as our identity. One of the issues that I've been concerned about for a while in terms of devolution is to make sure that any devolution deal that we get has substantial and specific funding for towns and some of our high streets in those towns. I'd made it clear to the combined authority that one of the issues that is a sticking point for Wakefield is to make sure that there is substantial funding in the devolution deal presently being discussed with government officials for towns.
Yeah.
It's not sufficient to say that all the other streams will benefit towns in an indirect way. There has to be direct funding made available for our towns, and I say that will be a sticking point and a red line for Wakefield. So just to let Cabinet know, I've reiterated today to the combined authority that is our stand. That is the case. That funding has to be made available. And we've been to one of our towns recently, haven't we, Denise? And we've seen that with some extra funding, there are things we can do that would accelerate growth and regeneration in our high streets. So just to make that point that we have to have that funding available that can feed in to the economic strategy.
Yes, I think that's important, and I think also the fact that we are doing plans for each of our major towns, but we need funding to do that. And as you say, Les, we need the skills. And one of the reasons why we appointed a new cabinet position was to look at, for Michael, was to look at the skills and work with us on this strategy to move things forward.
Anybody else? If not, can we agree that report?
Great.
Thank you. Okay, you're on again, Martin, I think.
Yeah.
Are you?
Actually, one more.
Next, yeah, no.
Yeah, this is just an order that's already in place, a public space protection order. It expires on July 31st. It's to seek approval to extend that for a further 3 years, just to help authorities deal with the erratic and dangerous driving of vehicles in Pontefract Park and Racecourse. The recommendation is under 9.1 that we do that.
Any questions or comments? No? Okay. Agreed. That concludes the agenda. Thank you very much. And I hope the microphones worked.
Very good.